Thank you very much, Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming back to the stage Scott Hicks and welcoming to the stage, or inviting to the stage even if he's not here yet, Geoffrey Rush. We can talk about him while he's not here yet. It has been said, I've heard it read, Geoffrey said apparently, that you told him that his career up until Shine was his audition for the film.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, the thing was, I'd seen Geoffrey on stage many times, and he lived here in Adelaide for years with Jim Sharman's Lighthouse Theatre and then when Magpie. And when I started to contemplate how to cast this role, a few years had gone by, and I went to one of the great casting mavens in Sydney, Liz Mulliner, and I talked with her about it, and she said, darling, there's only one person who can do this, and that's Geoffrey Rush. And I said, oh, what's he been doing? Because I lost track of him for a few years. And she said, he's been becoming a genius. Well, that sounds good. Yeah. So, we started a meeting, and Geoffrey and I met in a coffee shop in Whitehart or somewhere, I can't remember now. I was sort of captivated by his hands, which were so like David Hofgott's, and full of animation and movement, and always, illustrating what he was talking about. And I already knew he could act, so that was the thing. But he had the hands,
Yes.
So yeah, that was absolutely it. His whole career was an audition, and it wasn't necessary, for him to audition for me. I'd seen what he could do.
Indeed.
I just said it's a bad joke. I wanted to come up on the organ. I knew the entrance would be far too long.
And I was rather afraid we'd have to conduct the Q&A with you under the stage, which would have perhaps worked quite as well. So,
chair going to the Toowoomba Town Hall around the age of 8 and hearing a three-piece band strike up the overture was the Portuguese washerwoman, which was sort of like, I don't know what the equivalent would be now, the floral dance or popcorn.
yes.
And I gave that up at the age of 14 when I joined the school drama club and totally left it behind, which I regret. I'd seen a lot of musical biopics, and they have a number of cliches and things. And in the initial discussions with Scott, I said, we have to have some hero shots, almost like a stunt sequence, because I'm not a pianist, but they are my hands and they never leave my wrists at any point in the shots. And I worked with a tutor for about 4 months, and we devised this curious colour system where I'd be haranguvating, that's a David Hofgott word, I'd be haranguvating Scott, saying, well, what pieces of music am I actually going to be playing? And I worked with a tutor, and I'd go, well, the Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 by Liszt is very difficult.
I had certainly watched a lot of films about concert pianists and performers, as probably Geoffrey had too, and I came to the conclusion that it was interesting to watch someone pretend to play the piano extremely well for about 7 seconds, beyond which it was like, well, what happens to the drama, because in the end, the thing was to make those scenes and those sequences as convincing as we could possibly make them, but the story should never stop, you know. So it was never about just presenting somebody, you know, playing the piano incredibly well. It had to be what was happening to that character, and I will learn where to put them. Well, you know, I said, Geoffrey, this is not chopsticks. You know, this is like Mamonov, this is Chopin, and he said, you tell me what he did. As I understand it, you know, Geoffrey learned the physical placement of his fingers like it was a Shakespearean text. And when he first showed it, and it was on the set when we were shooting, it was stunning. But it was the flight of the bumblebee scene. So it was a measure of his enormous technique as an actor to take that, to take that and own that. It was fantastic. You know, and ultimately, you know, and Jan Sadi came in and worked with me, and you know, we got this wonderful screenplay, but nobody wanted to make it, and they just could not get this character. You know, the sort of responses I got were things like, he should have more control over his life. I mean, what, you know, we need a hero who just projects himself forward. And if they accepted the fact that he should be a musician, they said, does it have to be the piano? Pretty progress since.
No, and this is sort of in answer to your question, I think. I get a lot of correspondence from people who think I now must have the answers for how do you make a breakout film. That's not really how it happens. When we were shooting it here on the streets of Adelaide, all we hoped was we got the shots for the day, that we didn't lose light, that we stuck to the schedule because we were on a very independent, low-level budget. We were trying to honour the substance within the storytelling, and then the film took its own course in a funny sort of a way, and seemed to have an emotional impact on an unpredictable demographic. None of the marketeers, we were lucky that in that period of the mid-90s, when it got launched internationally, there was a great upsurge in independent filmmaking, and even by the time we got to the Oscars and the peak of the award season, we were up against films like Lars von Trier's Breaking the Waves and Secrets and Lies by Mike Leigh and Billy Bob Thornton's Sling Blade. In fact, I think Tom Cruise in Jerry Maguire was the only studio picture that was nominated that year. It was really thrilling to be a part of that movement, and within a year, you could see that all of those mini-major studios, independent films suddenly became the new American genre. I first read the script in 1992, and I was assured then that it was going to start shooting. But it didn't. It was a very interesting connection because I had been working in the theatre for 24 years, a good period of that here in Adelaide in the 80s, early 90s. And I got a call from my agency in Sydney, and my agent was weeping. That was amusing. I never do that. It's a life for me. And I had, I suppose, a kind of recognition of something that it was a rare opportunity because I'd only been in one feature film before I made this. Well, there were two others in the early 80s. One was a musical film called Starstruck, but I was playing a role the size of third rat on the coach in Cinderella.
Paul talked about the difficulty in finding all the people who said no, and then you held up your statuette and sort of went. And it was a moment, if I can say, of enormous pride for pretty much everyone in this country. It was an extraordinary moment. And that must have been an extraordinary moment for everyone involved in
you know, the thing was that
later and now being a parent, seeing the film in quite a different light and taking something different from it. I was just curious, how much was the father character a real representation or a dramatic device to get across that relationship?
Well, I mean, it's a long and complicated story, but the portrayal of Peter grew out of very long conversations with David over a long period of time. Also, 3 of his siblings. All the information that you see on the screen derives from specific incidents that were told to me, not necessarily in that order or at that particular time, but everything, there's nothing in there that is invented in the sense of what I was told Peter Helfgott's behavior and attitude aspect was towards his children. Have to show them what you've done. And David, I sat on the couch, Carrie was next to me, Gillian was next to me on this side, David was on the floor clinging onto my leg for most of this screening on VHS, if you can remember that meeting. And at the end of the film, Gillian said to him, "So what did you think, darling?" And he said, "I wish my daddy had been as nice as that." And so of course there's dramatic construct, of course there's compression of incident, there's time frames are compacted. Other characters are amalgams of people, but the portrayal of Peter was as close as I felt we could get to that man that I could ever meet. He was long dead by then. And I wanted, and in casting Arne Müller-Stahl, which was, he was an incredible actor. And at first he said to me, "This man's a monster." And I said, "No, he's not. He just loves his son too much. He doesn't know how to let go. He can't, he's lost his family in the war, and he doesn't want to lose another.